but I said that I would do it. I also got a couple of Instagram DMs asking me to do this, so I am excited. I do have a beverage. I know it's been a long time since I've done this. YouTube, I'm of legal drinking age. I know I look young. People tell me I look like I'm 23, which I get that a lot. I get 23 and 24 a lot. And even that would be of normal drinking age. I'm 27 though, so more than legal. Luna's playing with my laptop. Anyway, I have a beverage. It's Saturday that I'm filming this, and I have some friends coming over later, but I'm not going anywhere for the rest of the night, so we're gonna have a beverage. I hardly ever have these in my fridge anymore. This is actually left over from the Super Bowl. I have raspberry and lime left over. Lime is my least favorite flavor of all of them, so I don't want that one, but the raspberry one is really good. So we're gonna be bougie and put it in a wine glass. So let's open it up and we'll do a pour. Not as fizzy as usual. Maybe because it's a little older, but it should still be fizzy. Whatever. Alright. Cheers. I learned that when you drink from wine glasses with a stem, so you usually drink like white wine, things that are chilled, you hold it by the stem so that your hand doesn't warm up the drink. I don't know if that's true or not, but somebody told me that and it makes sense. So. Okay, so Love is Blind Season 6. Now, I wrote some notes down because I knew I was gonna forget their names. I am not a big reality TV girly. Oh, she just fell asleep with one hand on the laptop, but she's so freaking cute. I'm sorry. Alright, as long as she's quiet, that's fine. Not a big reality TV person, but I love Love is Blind. I love on the Spectrum. I watched The Ultimatum, like 1 or 2 seasons of it. So like Netflix's reality shows I like. But other than that, like The Bachelor, I haven't watched in years. I just am not the biggest reality TV, but there's something about Love is Blind that just gets me. I just love it. I don't know. I don't think it's like I wouldn't do it personally to go find love. I think it's absurd to get married to somebody after knowing them for 3 weeks or whatever it is. But to watch it on the other side, I enjoy it. So, first thing I want to say, well, obviously, if you have not finished the season or watched the reunion, this is not the video for you, okay? This is going to be spoiler city, so come back to this episode or this video once you've watched all the episodes. So I will say, season 6, I think, was one of the best seasons, if not the best season. It had its drama, but in the reunion, like, it ended pretty well. I think Nick and Vanessa Lachey, the hosts, did much better this season. I know they got so much slack the last couple seasons for, just not being good hosts, not asking the right questions at the reunions, all the things. So I think that they took that into consideration and really came for us this time. So I respect them. I applaud them. I think the casting was really well done. I think the producers and the editors did a fantastic job this season to make good television. I don't know if you've heard that saying, like, the devil works hard, but producers of reality TV work harder. That's so true, because they piece things together and they have the possibility at the touch of their fingertips to create a whole new narrative based on certain clips that they can just piece together, and they can make a whole new story. And it's just, anyway, so they have a lot of power. I think that the editing was well done. I think that the sound the season. The music they played in the background was fantastic. I don't know if it's just because I work in the technical world, in the media world, so like I pay attention to those things, but I thought the editing was so well done. I thought it was all really, really well done. Okay, so that's the first thing I will say. I feel like every season that goes by, less and less people actually get married, which from like a smart, level-headed point of view, I think that's a good thing, because again, getting married to someone you've only known for a month is wild. But I know you want to like see people get married at the end of the show, because that's the whole point. But it's just very interesting. I feel like every year that goes by, people are like not really getting married as much. There was one couple that got married this season, so we'll talk about them. They were my favorite. But we'll go in order. Actually, I think they're the first couple I wrote down. Yeah. So Johnny and Amy. Everyone, I saw so many people saying, "Oh my goodness, they're so boring." I fast forward their parts. I think that they're like cringy and whatever. They were just unproblematic and they clicked really well, and that's why they were boring. It's because there wasn't a lot of drama, because somehow they clicked really well and got along really well and fell in love apparently, and they seem to still be married and still be happy, so good for them. I think that they were the like least likely pair in my opinion. I would not have guessed that they would have found each other, but they did. I do think Johnny is like a walking green flag. Yes, he was a little what's the word? Underinformed, naive about the birth control situation at points, but he's also a young guy in his 20s, so you know, a lot of guys actually don't know the things that us women know, so you know, you gotta take that into consideration. But he just was so gentle with her and so just, I don't know, unapologetically himself, and I really enjoyed them. They made me smile a lot. I just think he needed a brush for that hair. I did not understand the hair. There was one scene where he had it up in a man bun, and I was like, so much better. And I went to I think it was his Instagram, and I saw like old pictures of him when he had short hair. And I was like, because he's a good looking dude, but that hair was like, it was like giving Carrot Top. I don't know. But other than that, she's gorgeous. Again, just like unproblematic. And that's why they were boring. They were good people that were not seeking drama, that weren't trying to force a relationship to work when it wasn't working. And so I don't have much to say about them. I hope that they stay together. And I like them. Their wedding made me cry, like actually cry. Her dad made me cry. Her little brother, how excited he was, made me cry. And seeing how well their families blended together and how much they all just loved each other, it was beautiful. I really think that's the way it should be. Wild that came out of a reality show, because that's rare, but good for them, right? So, the next one. Whew, okay. I normally am not like triggered by these shows, and I say triggered, like when I say that, I don't say that lightly. I actually don't like that when people are like, oh, I'm triggered. But in some cases you absolutely can get triggered, and Jeremy triggered me. I actually really liked him all the way through until that one scene where he was out until 5 a.m., came back home to Laura, and he was with another girl, the girl that he also had a relationship with in the pods before he got engaged to Sarah Ann, which, don't get me started on was just talking with her until 5 a.m. If you're engaged, you have no, I don't care if you're talking, I don't care if you never even touch each other. If you are engaged and especially if your fiance doesn't know where you are, you have no business staying out with another woman until 5 a.m. Sorry, I would turn into a little psychopath. That scene where he was sitting there in his sunglasses acting like he didn't have a care in the world, and Laura was like, where were you, triggered the crap out of me. The gaslighting, that was immediately, I was like, no, can't stand him. I hope they don't get married. Like, horrible. The fact that he shared his location with his fiance and tried to use that as an excuse, even though he lied about where he was, is wild to me. Just don't share your location at that point. She literally was like, I don't know why you're lying about where you are, because I have your location, so don't share your location with me if you don't want me to know where you are. I think Laura is a queen. I know some people say she's harsh and whatever. She knows her worth, she knows her value, and she knows what she will not put up with, and she had the power to walk away when she knew she wasn't getting what she deserved. And I think she handled herself with grace. She had all the words, she spoke fluently and eloquently, and I love her. Even at the reunion, the way that she spoke, the things that she said, she was like, it doesn't matter at this point, you know, like, she's dating somebody now, apparently. Good for her. I think she's a queen. And then at that pool party, when Jeremy and Laura weren't together anymore, and Sarah Ann showed up, and then at the end of the pool party, they just, like, rode off into the sunset on jet skis. Like, what was that? I can't. But you know what? If there are two people that should be together, it should be them too. I don't think Sarah Ann handled it in the most appropriate way, messaging an engaged man knowing that he has a fiance. Inappropriate. We don't do that. And then you're not gonna sit there and be like, oh, but you know, she made a TikTok that was like, if you believe in something so much with all your heart, like, go for it. No, Miss Ma'am, no. There is no excuse you could give me that says DMing an engaged man and telling him, hey, if that doesn't work out, I'm here. In no way, shape, or form is that, you know, acceptable in my book. Sorry. And AD had a nice talk with her, which we'll get into AD. She's another queen. The talk AD had with her, she was like, I saw the message. Like, you can't convince me otherwise. I saw it. I read it with my own eyes. You know, you are not a girl's girl. You don't do that. It is inappropriate. And when she knew that she wasn't getting anywhere, she wasn't going to sit there and just argue with Sarah, and she just walked away. And I respect that with my whole heart. I aspire to be the level of Delulu that Sarah Ann is, except I don't, but she is just, I don't know, her head's in the clouds. I don't know. Not saying they're bad people, but I don't like it. And even at the reunion, they were like, yeah, we've broken up a couple times, but we're working it out or whatever. I don't know. It just does not scream healthy to me, personally. The next one I want to talk about is Trevor. Trevor was the huge dude. I watched this season with my friend, and every time I saw him, this sounds mean. I don't mean to be mean, he's a good looking dude, but every time I saw him, I just laughed because he is huge. Like, his muscles are huge to the point where his head looks so small in his body because he's just huge. He reminded me of Wreck-It Ralph a little bit. Like the cartoon, the movie. He looks like Wreck-It Ralph. That's what he reminds me of. Anyway, in the pod, I thought he was a little golden retriever. I thought he was adorable. I thought he was a walking green flag. I thought he was in touch with his emotions. really liked him. I didn't like him for Chelsea, which we'll get into Chelsea, but I really liked him. And then thank goodness Chelsea didn't end up with him, because it came out after the show wrapped and before the reunion that Trevor had a girlfriend. Even though he says they weren't official, he had a girl while he was going to the show, while he was going on the show to find a wife. And they have, like, at the reunion, they read his text messages with this girl that he wrote to her the day he flew out to film the show. And they're like calling each other pumpkin. He's like, I love you so much, I want to marry you, like it's you and me. You're going on a show to find a wife. So it leads us to believe that he was just doing it for clout, or like to get a following, which he did. Although now a lot of people don't like him, rightfully so. And they just like laid into him. Nick and Vanessa, the host, laid into him. And it was really awkward because they were reading the text messages. So Nick was reading his text messages, and then Vanessa was reading his girlfriend's texts, and they were just reading the whole conversation like verbatim, and it was so awkward. They even put the text like up on the screen, and Nick was straight up like, you know, you made a mockery of the show. You know, people are here for the right reasons, you were here for the wrong reasons. Like, they made him so uncomfortable, and they gave him an opportunity to speak, and he couldn't speak. It was so awkward. He just sat there and he was like, like, I had a whole thing planned to say, and now I don't know what to say. So stupid. I can't believe that. And I didn't know, like, my friend knew before the reunion came out, because I guess she saw it on TikTok. I had no idea. So I was stunned when that happened. And then he straight up just asked if he could, like, leave. He was like, can I just go? Like, right now, can I just leave? And then he got up and walked out. Nobody clapped. Nobody said anything. It was so awkward. Man, if I were him, I would go hide somewhere. I don't know. That's embarrassing. But also, you just don't do that, you know? So I think when you do something stupid like that, you deserve to, you know, learn your lesson. So hopefully that'll teach people to not go on the show for that reason, because it's just like, what are you doing, you know? Alright, let's get into Clay and AD. Clay and AD were an interesting pair. They did seem to fit well together, but I have a lot of problems. They ended up not getting married, and I think out of everyone, they were the most superficial relationship. Like, it was mostly about looks, I think. And for a show that's supposed to not be based on looks, for him to ask in the pods, like, so who do you look like? Because that's important for me based on, you know, on how I base my decision at the end. It's just the opposite of what the show is supposed to be. But he picked well. AD is a smoke show. She's gorgeous. Her body's crazy. I think that she was overlooking so many red flags just because she thought he was attractive. And in the scene where he met her mom, he had walked away, and AD was saying to her mom, like, isn't he handsome? Like, you see what I mean? You see what I mean? And she just kept saying it over and over again, like, almost like she was trying to convince herself, or like convince her mom, like, yeah, this is it. Like, he's a good one. The whole conversations about, like, the cheating pissed me off. He would tell her all the time, you know, my dad cheated on my mom, so I'm afraid that I'm gonna cheat on you. And, like, I understand that sometimes that does happen, where it's like it's a chain reaction based on, like, what you've seen it at a young age. I get that, but the way he was acting like cheating is hereditary, and it's not. I always say, sometimes, like, I say it to my friend all the time, and we say it together, like, it's so easy to not cheat. You just don't do it, right? Like, you just don't do it. You remove yourself that you shouldn't be in. It's easy. It's very easy. Very passionate about the topic. So those conversations made me mad because he just kept almost every conversation was like talking about how he was afraid he was gonna cheat on her. It's like, hey dude, just don't do it. That's it. That's it. That's all you gotta do. Just don't do it. So that annoyed me. Also, the conversation that they had about like she was like, oh, like what if I gained weight one day, like in the future, like what would you do or what would you say? And he was like, oh, I tell you, you need to get back in the gym. And like the way he said it was so rude, and it was just so clearly like they were just attracted to each other's looks. They were falling for potential rather than the patterns that they saw in front of them. Don't fall for potential, because that's what happens. And I'm glad they didn't get married. I do understand what he was saying at the wedding, like at their wedding. He was like, I'm just not ready to be a husband. I want to still be with you, but I don't want to get married. I do respect that, but I think that you can do all that before you go to the altar, because bringing her up to the altar, saying all these beautiful things about each other, and then being like, no, actually, I don't want to get married, is like embarrassing. I feel like he could have did what Jimmy did and told her before the wedding, and like saved her the time of getting ready, saved her the time of, getting her hopes up. So I did feel really bad for her, because they said some really beautiful things about each other, and you could tell that she was all in. But I do think it was a blessing in disguise, and I think that it's a really good thing that she didn't marry him. So, and then Clay's mom at the end, where she was talking about the dad, and was like, he was basically just talking about like regrets that he has, but he just wasn't like fully taking accountability, and she just like set him straight. And I was like, queen, somebody needs to say that to Clay as well. So I'm glad they didn't get married, but they were entertaining, I will say, and they were a beautiful couple. Jimmy and Chelsea, I think it's hysterical that Jimmy was like the hot commodity apparently in the pods. Apparently, like in the beginning, early on, he was most of the women's like number one choice. I think it's because he has that little like southern draw. Like me, if I heard his voice, probably I'd be like, "Ooh, a southern gentleman. I want him too," right? I don't think he was all that personally. I didn't really like him in the pods, actually. Something about him irritated me. The way he spoke irritated me. The way that he handled the whole Jess situation wasn't my favorite, although I think she was too much woman for him. Personally, I don't think he would have been able to handle her. But, yeah, I wasn't a big fan of him early on. He ended up with Chelsea, and after the pods, it switched for me, where I was Team Chelsea, and then I became Team Jimmy. He was very like clear about, I am eager to see Jess. I don't think he should have followed her on Instagram, but whatever, he did unfollow her. I don't know, that was stupid. But he was very clear about, yeah, I am interested in like seeing Jess in person, but Chelsea is my fiance, and like I'm all in with her, and that's how it should be. So I did gain some respect for him. It's not a secret, Chelsea has said it, where she had a lot of insecurities when it came to dating and being on the show. And it's very clear, and I think that's where like the clinginess comes from, where he was like saying that she was clingy and whatever. What really turned it for me was the night that Jimmy went out for a friend's birthday, and he drove, and he was only gone for like an hour and a half. Chelsea stayed at home, and she chose not to go. invited her. And she like flipped out. I think she was also drunk herself. And she was just mad that he like went out. And she was like, I don't want a guy that goes out. And he was like, okay, but I was gone for an hour. Me personally, like, I wouldn't be able to date a guy that goes clubbing every weekend and whatever. But if my man goes out for an hour, that's like unheard of. If my man really like left for an hour to go get a beer, say happy birthday, and then come home to me, I'd be like, are you sure? Like, do you want to stay for 2 hours? Like, you know what I mean? So I don't think that was fair to him at all. I think her insecurities really were showing there. And it's unfortunate. I think Chelsea learned a lot. And unfortunately, she had to learn a lot in front of the entire world, or at least the entire country. And, you know, she said in the reunion, I'm really proud of the way I've handled everything. And I do think she handled everything really well. I think she was an adult about it. I think she owned up to her mistakes. I think she was able to find humor in some of it. And my respect for her went back up after the reunion and everything. I just don't think they were for each other, and I do respect that Jimmy told her ahead of time, like, I don't want to get married, because it saved her the time of going to the venue on the wedding day, getting dressed, getting her makeup done, putting on the dress, and then the public humiliation of him saying no in front of everybody. So I did respect that a lot. The whole Megan Fox thing, that was where the producers got messy and where they got creative, because they are the ones that took that and ran with it. And it was smart that they did, because look how many people, you know, heard about that and then tuned into the show because of that. It was like trending on TikTok for a while. So that was very smart on their part. I don't think she looks like Megan Fox, but I think it's the eyes. And that's it. That's all I see. But I do see something there. But I think it's just bold for anybody to say I look like Megan Fox, because Megan Fox is like, she's known for her beauty and she's known for being like one of the most beautiful women on the planet. So it's just bold. But again, she said it, I think, as like a joke. I think she shouldn't have said it, especially in a situation or an experiment like this one, where your looks are not supposed to play a part at all. And she knew that as soon as she said, I look like Megan Fox, he was going to be all over it, because what guy wouldn't be? If a woman says to you, a woman that you're not allowed to see yet says, oh yeah, I look like Megan Fox, I saw the light bulb go off in his head, where he was like, oh yeah, I'm picking her. Like, you know what I mean? So she knew what she was doing when she said that, but I also don't think she expected it to blow up like it did. But yeah. So anyway, I'm glad that they didn't work out, and they seem to be really good friends now, but TikTok is making it seem like their TikToks that they post, especially hers, are making it seem like they are still together, but she could just be doing that to get attention. So I don't know. I think they all do. They all play into it so that they can get more followers and more attention. That's just, and I don't care what anybody says, that's why most of them go on the show. My opinion. I think they go on and they're like, oh, I can be an influencer, I can get a following, oh, and if I find the love of my life, then that's just an added bonus. That's what I think, personally. Because you're like 23, 24, like, time is not ticking for you. You know what I mean? Like, you're so young to go on a show where, like, you're like, oh, I just want to find my person. You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyway, the last ones are Brittany and Kenneth. I liked them at first, and then, like everybody said, when they got home and he got his phone back, he was just glued to his phone. And something just changed in him, where I really don't think he was interested. I think that they were trying to force it. I think the connection they got in the pods was a friendship, which is the friendship they have now. They say that they talk almost every day, but it's purely platonic, and I believe that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have much to say about them. I just think it was forced, and I'm glad that they called it quits when they did. But I will say my respect for him really kind of went down a little bit when she was crying and he was sitting there on his phone. That's also like a little trigger for me, I think. I don't like that. She was clearly hurting, and he was like, okay, give me a hug, pat, pat, pat on the back, and then called up his buddy and was like, hey, I'm packing a bag, I'm gonna be on my way in a second. You know, that doesn't sit right with me, personally. But then again, you never know how the producers, you know, edit things together, so you never know. I think he's an interesting dude. I don't think he's for her. I think she's an angel. I actually know somebody who was in her sorority and isn't like close with her, but like knew her, and she says that she's very, 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 very sweet, and you can see that. And you know, I like them because they were both Christian, and so I think that's why they were able to just walk through this with grace and like have no bad blood, and just, I don't know, I just like them as people, just not for each other. And yeah, I mean, Jess, I don't have much to say about her. I think it's weird to have a kid and you're like going on a show where you could possibly get married to somebody in 3 weeks. I feel like you need more time to, one, figure out if that person is for you, two, to make sure that they're worthy of meeting your daughter. So a little weird. I think she's one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. She's gonna be a big influencer. She's going on another dating show. But yeah, I don't know. Jimmy fumbled that, but whatever. And that's it. So that's my little recap and some of my thoughts. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you